Hello, and thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Mobility
Mobility
Bros.
Bros.
How you guys doing? If you don't know, I'm Coach Cliff. I'm here with my host and brother Ron Hilton, and we'll be covering athletic mindset, mobility, pain reduction, the thoughts and practices of practitioners, and the thoughts and mindset of our clients and our members. And today we're going to really hone in to something that's really near and dear. We have an amazing guest today, and he's going to talk to us about his experience with the loss of his parents through cancer. He lost them 6 years apart. He's going to talk about his book that he wrote, Battleground Cancer. He's a coach of the tennis team in Chi-Town. He has been doing that for years. He is an author. He's a podcaster. He is an amazing human being. He's in nutrition. He worked with nutrition. He's got so many different things to bring value to all of us. We're really excited to talk with him, to ask him some questions, to dig a little deeper, to clear our throats. Ron, how you doing over there, brother? How are you today?
I'm doing good. I was just taking a sip of water. It's a choking. So yeah, I'm doing fantastic, man. Great day, great weekend, and ready to rock and roll today, man.
All right, Jeff Cates, how are you today?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? I am blessed by the best. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. This is a great topics, great things to be a part of as it relates to what's going on with health and wellness today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. I think you
Appreciate
make
it.
massive impact in the world, not only with the two books, one book that you wrote and another book that you co-wrote with others, but also what you're doing in Chicago, what you've been doing for the tennis team. We talked a little bit offline about what it means to you to be a part of that, to change lives in the youth there, and also just your health and wellness mindset. So we think you're going to bring amazing value. How are you feeling today? What's on your mind? How are you doing?
Hey, listen, again, no complaints here. I'm just happy to be here, blessed by the best, and being able to share as much information as I can, give you some tips and some nuggets, not just from my book, but just from the experiences trying to live a healthier, powered lifestyle. I truly believe that's definitely important for longevity.
That's right on. That's right on.
Awesome.
So, Ron, do you have any questions you want to ask Jeff? How are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you
So
thinking?
pleasure to meet you, Jeff.
Sure.
Uh, so I'm Ron Hilton. Background more sports performance and massage therapist, health and wellness. And man, it's an honor and pleasure to have you on. Yeah, so just want to ask, what inspired you to be a health and lifestyle specialist? What is that, and what inspired you to be that?
Wow, great question, great question. Thank you. So, I've been in the I served in the hospitality management community or industry for a while. I received my Bachelor of Science in that area from the University of Houston, Hilton College of Hotel Restaurant Management. And from that point, served in corporate America in different capacities like its sales, um, food and beverage operations, marketing, and also did some things in the healthcare sector as a director of dietary nutrition. So I've always been um, really enthused and interested in how our bodies react with different type of diets. And so I had a chance at some time to look at different patients' charts or really their diets. And from that point on, I served in that industry for a while and moved on and um, left corporate America. And I actually got a chance to jump off that cliff and build my wings coming down. And wearing multiple hats as an owner really opened my eyes to unique opportunities as well as challenges and obstacles. So I was a co-owner of a restaurant, healthy restaurant concept, where
Oh
we
wow.
really just focused on high fiber, high protein, low carb meals. No fried foods were served. We worked on meal prep, meal plans, and from that point on, I really started to understand the value of proper nutritional content on labeling.
Mm,
And I think a lot of us have probably hit the snooze button on that in terms of their health goals. And we got to hit that reset button. We got to be able to hit that button that says, okay, no more pause. Let's play. Let's understand how food affects us mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. And that led me really to understand more and want to be more part of the health and wellness community. And so for me, as a coach, as a health coach, I empower and partner with people to transform their unhealthy choices into an active, vibrant lifestyle. And I do that with a program I call the Ultimate Health and Happiness Program, where I really take a deep dive into mindset, diet, and exercise. Kind of different from a trainer's perspective, but we're all uniquely and collectively talented in what we talk about and what we do and how we serve our clients. But I really focus on that mind and that body and soul from a holistic standpoint. So it's been very enlightening to help
Cool.
people and to help serve, because some people may not know, or they don't know what they don't know as it relates to certain foods and how they engage and interact with their bodies. It's all about reducing those cravings,
Yeah.
reducing those cravings, right? And just understand that we got to eat our food as medicine. We're just taking our medicine as foods.
Mm.
You know, the proper vitamins and the nutrient content and the fiber and the protein. A lot of those components have a positive effect on our bodies. So, in a nutshell, yeah, that's kind of what's going on as a health coach and as a tennis coach. I've been playing competitively for a long time in high school. I even taught high school when I was in college down at U of H. By the way, go Cougs, U of H, University of Houston. They are in the Sweet 16 right about now. Okay, we've done it. Hey, this is our third or maybe fourth time going now. So hats off to them. Big shout out to H Town. But other than that, just keeping the youth important in front of what's going on in coaching. So I do coach for the boys varsity and the girls varsity. Right now is my boys season for high school. It's called Homewood Flossmoor High School. I've been doing that for about 3 years. It was very tough for me to even be doing that, of course, when I co-owned my restaurant and just being involved with corporate. It was difficult, but I would still play competitively. Now I have a little bit more latitude with my time to focus on the youth in my high school, and the other part of this, of course, being a health coach. So as you all know, it is about service. It's about adding value. It's about adding impact, and also being the best servant leader you can be.
Mm.
That's
That's
awesome.
well said, and beautifully said. I want to acknowledge so many different points of that conversation. Not only your own personal growth, what you saw being in this industry of hospitality and seeing what was needed, and then turning into a business as co-owning a restaurant where you didn't serve the things that people would look for, the easy things that people want, the fried foods, the fatty this, the fatty that, that could have turned, a small dollar and had a high profit margin. You went and figured out how to do it with healthier foods and more meaningful foods. And so the question is that I would like to lead to: how did the book come about? And what was it that inspired you to create your book?
Well, thank you for asking. So I'll see if I can get a good display of it right here. It's called Battleground Cancer: Managing Your Mental, Physical, and Spiritual Well-Being for the Fight. I chose battleground cancer. Also, we're dealing with the battlefield of life, the battlefield of life. But battleground cancer, it took me a while to kind of discover, that name. And I say that because there was a point in time in my youth, or my young adult life, my father was diagnosed with cancer, pancreatic cancer,
Mm.
and that was back in 1989. And unfortunately, it was at like stage 3. It really it was a silent killer. And he went home to be with the Lord. He's in spiritual essence now, and he passed in 91. So less than almost like 2 years. But 6 years later, my mother passed of breast cancer.
Mm.
She was diagnosed, however, in 1987. but God gave me 10 more years. And so I watched their journey. And even as a young person, I really didn't understand the autonomy of what cancer was. I just knew it was a terrible disease. And in my young mind, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to overcome this. They're going to win this. But you know, the Western side of medical treatment, you know, the chemotherapy, the radiation, you know, those type of methods destroy your white blood cells. It takes a toll on the body. It's tough. And, you know, watching them go through that process was was devastating. It was very traumatic, disheartening, especially when I lost both of them. And I think from that point on, I tried to camouflage my emotions. I tried to be. I had fun, of course, as a young person, but you know, I still had my social life. I was still working, still trying to find my place in the world, right? Um, but I think as years went on, I just told myself, you know what, this needs to come out. I can't allow this to fester. I can't allow the uh, the emotions to overwhelm me. And I've never really thought about writing, but this was a way to get the story and to communicate it and hopefully uplift somebody else um, who's been touched by the disease.
Yeah.
And therefore, the name came about, the book came about, and I wanted to make sure that people understood not just my story, but how it could affect them in a positive light to see what how they can overcome their challenges and obstacles. Because see, back then, you guys, I think, in fact, I know I was the only family member in my tribe that lost both parents. So my cousins or other, you know, relatives, you know, they either had not both, but one. Most of my friends either had both or one parent in their household. And so it was always challenging to navigate life, right? Because I lost the parental touch, the love, the guidance from that situation. And somehow, you know, you got to figure it out. And and God, I believe God has always had my back. He's always had my back. He's my rock, he's my salvation, and that's just what it is. And so therefore, I said I need something to as it relates to health and wellness, nutrition, but also share a story, not necessarily my personal story, but the journey from my parents and other people in this community that's dealing with a global disease. Global diseases like cancer. There's still obesity. There's still diabetes. There's still high blood pressure. Um, all these things, but they always start with the letter I. Inflammation. Inflammation is that's what jumpstarts these type of things. And so I knew this was going to be therapeutic for me. I knew that it was going to be inspirational, motivating for others, and someone may shed a tear or two. But in the reality of things, sometimes you have to be vulnerable, which I was, to allow people to understand where I was coming from. And within every testimony, there's a test. And there's a test. And we all go through these tests. And this was a way to say, you know what? I need to share this to the world. I need to make sure that people understand not just my journey, but how it could affect other people and they can grow from it. See, you can you can grow through what you go through. You
I
can
like
grow through what you go through. And it's very important, especially for longevity purposes, that you take each and every day, be present, be in the moment, and give thanks, and just have an attitude of gratitude. And it took me a little while to understand that. But I'm glad I put this out there in 2019, and I penned the book. I'm an award-winning author of this book, and. Um, it was never a book to be, you know, 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 a book to trying to be a bestseller. It was never anything like that. It was just, I want to put it out there. And I didn't really have, I had a reason, but I didn't have the rhyme. It's kind of like I wanted to do it. I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out because I didn't know the reaction, how people would take it. But when I look back at this, it's been all positive feedback. It's either helped somebody, they were taking some things out of the book to apply in terms of holistic alternative approaches. It just, we're here to serve, we're here to help. And I'm glad that this has been able to impact so many people. And so recently, last month, towards the end of February, as you mentioned, Cliff, I was invited to co-author a book. It's called Dare to Be Me Through Cancer. It's called Dare to Be Me Through Cancer. And it's a multitude of authors, and we've co-authored this collaborative project, and each one of us has a chapter. My chapter is called Hope. It's chapter 6. Nice. And you can get it on Amazon. It was first digitally done through Kindle, and now they were able to get it hard copy, soft copy, whatever, through Amazon.com. But it's called Dare to Be Me Through Cancer. And so it's a lot of shared stories of men and women who have been touched by cancer, who are warriors, who are survivors, who's sharing and shedding their light on a lot of different things out there. So it's very, very phenomenally done, actually. And I'm looking forward to sharing that to the world as well, because it's only been out for a couple of weeks.
It's amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
deep, bro. Very deep. I have a question. You talked, and I was looking through your site, and you talked about your new brand. What is that about?
So JeffCade360.com, that's just my site. And within my site, or within that particular site, I allow people to go there so they could understand more about me as it relates to, say, my bio. They can connect with me through different communication. It's a communication hub. If they want to connect with me via social media, they can, through Facebook, through LinkedIn, Instagram. If people are not, if they don't want to deal with social media, because no, I get it. Social media can be very disruptive, distracting. They can connect with me via simply an email, or they can text me. The app or the website allows you to do that. But more importantly, it allows you to get a glimpse of what I'm doing. And also, if people are wanting to really understand their health goals, they can connect with me. There's another site within the site, and that's for the 360 Health and Wellness Network. And that's my company, 360 Health and Wellness Network. In fact, if you go to 360healthandwellnessnetwork.com, it's a page and allows you to see more of what I'm sharing in terms of a program where I talk about the mindset, diet, and exercise. And so I go through health history forms, progress reports. I really get down to what I need how to serve the particular prospect or client to reach their health goals.
That's amazing. So everyone who's watching, thank you so much for watching up to this point. Jeff Cade is an amazing human being. Please write down in the comments if you've ever been affected by cancer. If you know someone who's been affected by cancer, if you have lost someone, so we can recognize you, we can stand with you. In my own family, we've had wins and we've had losses. And the losses have been heartfelt and saddened. And the wins we celebrate, right? Because we want to celebrate life and we want to celebrate those things. And this isn't just a sad story. This is a story of overcoming. This is a story of learning and educating ourselves. This is a story of turning our pain into impact. And we're watching how Jeff has done that. And so if you're relating to this, if you're connecting with this, if you have any questions, We would love to invite you in our comment sections or and in all of our places we post, whether it's on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Please write down in the comments what you feel, how this episode has touched you. If you want to get in touch with Jeff, there will be stuff in the description below. So all that stuff will be there for all of you guys watching. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Jeff, man, it is amazing getting to know you. Let's
Yes.
know a little bit more about some of the things you enjoy. Let's talk about like Jeff the person. How did you get into this role? We have a few more minutes before the podcast is done. How did you get into this role of health coach and tennis coach and what do you really believe? Like, was this always a journey for you? Obviously, we know that there's been a lot of things in your life that propelled you to this space based on acknowledging what you just shared. But like as a kid growing up, was this what you thought you were going to be doing, or were you going to be an astronaut? Like how is
An astronaut. That's good. That's good. You know what? It, I always thought I was gonna be a basketball player, man. You know, you're a
Ah,
kid, your favorite sports. You know, my favorite sport was basketball. Tennis was definitely on the last one on the totem pole. But you know, I think because of my father or my parents, my mother was an educator slash teacher. My father, his trade and his industry was being a pharmacist, so he of course wanted his son to be involved with the pharmaceutical arena. And what's interesting is, I was the rebel, in the family, and so I understood that I had to understand what business principles were, and I enjoyed business, but I said, no, I don't, pharmacy. I'm not that really good in science, and so I kind of backed away from there.
Mm.
In fact, I had attended Xavier University down in New Orleans, Louisiana, for a couple of years.
mm.
But I'll say this to the audience: I'm going to be very transparent. I majored in one thing, but I minored in Bourbon Street. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be real with you. I minored in
That's
Bourbon Street, and so I had to really put that brain cap on, because I was not invited back there, and it wasn't the school. It wasn't the school. It was my parents. They were like, "Oh, okay, well, you if you think you're gonna be here for a long time, that's not gonna be the case. You're gonna come on back to Chicago. You're either gonna go to Chicago State, UIC. You're gonna help me pay in-state tuition. You're gonna get a job. You're gonna come back home." I said, "Man, I'm not gonna do that. I have to figure it out." And so they like, "Well, you have one more semester, and you need to get your GPA up." And you know what, man? I put that brain cap on, and I got accepted to Florida State, Michigan State, and
Wow.
Houston, University of Houston. And I chose Houston because of the wonderful things I've heard about it, not because of Phi Slamma Jamma, back in the day, but just because, man, of the program. You see, the hospitality management operation program was bar none like top schools in the nation versus Cornell. So they were always one versus two. We were the two, they were one. We were one or they were two. And it just opened my eyes to the industry, about service. And yeah, there were some long hours, but man, it opened my eyes up to what's possible and different lanes within that huge industry to serve in. And what's interesting is now I've become more enthusiastic and more knowledgeable about nutrition and how in dietary, because I worked in the hospital, remember, in the healthcare sector.
Mhm.
But I look back at my father, what he did. So he was in the science part of it, right? There were certain things you have to learn from that perspective. And so,
Yes.
as a health and wellness, being in the health and wellness industry or a health coach, man, I can appreciate everything that I've learned, and I'm continuing to learn. In fact, I'll say this. I mentioned this. No, I didn't mention this earlier. I'm sorry. I'm continuing my education with the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and
Oh,
see,
awesome.
that's important because I'm not stopping the learning process. I'm going to continue to grow, right? And so it allows me to, man, get more content and apply more methods and help others in a different way from a holistic and alternative method versus the basic dry things we always hear. So it just gives me more experience and I can help others. So I'm continuing my education, through a digital-based module program, and it's just helpful, man. So I just kind of, as you said earlier, Cliff, it was an opportunity for me to kind of go in this area, and I just started to pick up more things and wanted to speak on these things and serve and write the books. And I didn't think I was going to be an author. Who would have thought I'd be writing a book? But things happen in your life, and you have to, you kind of have to, I don't want to say go with the flow, but you have to look at those opportunities that are within those situations that God presents, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so, I'm all about the high fiber, the protein, watching your labeling content, man, on the foods and that you're bringing into the house. Like, get rid of the high fructose corn syrup and the sugary drinks and the sodas and all these things that come into our home, and the nitrates, the nitrates, all that stuff on meat products. I'm just trying to educate, so that people can be educated and they can tell others, because a lot of things we don't look at. Our lens is sometimes not that open because we have our visors on, right? We don't really understand the different lanes that are coming at us. And so you have to really see what's around you. You have to be cognizant in the grocery stores and look at the packaging and the labeling. And I tell people, even on lotions and potions, if it's a paragraph on the back of that product, I wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't chemists. We're not scientists. We don't know every chemical component on the back of a product. So you have no idea. Now we can Google things. We can educate ourselves. But some people aren't doing that. And so, you have to understand the information on your product that you're consuming, because in long run, it could build inflammation. It could mess up your arteries, especially high fructose corn syrup, especially that. So I didn't want to get back into those chemical terms, but it's important for people to understand the importance of proper labeling on their packaging for properly managed nutrition, because again, your health is your wealth. And I tell people, I wrote a magazine article, self-care is the new healthcare. How can you take care of others if you can't take care of yourself? You got to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself means proper vitamins, vitamin D, and walking outside and getting that natural vitamin D, and, the sunlight and nature, getting your mind right, being able to sleep properly, right? So that rest and recovery is so important, because your cells and muscles are recovering while you sleep, because they're dormant. And this is an opportunity for your body to recover. And proper rest is paramount. There's a lot of little things that you have to do. Energy and vitality with exercise. They say, 30 minutes a day of any type of cardiovascular, cardio interval training can really assist you from a holistic standpoint, whether it's reduction of calories, increased blood rate. There's so many different things. Hydration is so important. Reduction of weight.
True.
Yeah.
So Jeff, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, you went from Paris being in the pharmaceutical industry to learning how to do things holistic, breaking down proteins, and that high fructose corn syrup. We got to watch our labeling. We really got to watch our labeling. If there's a paragraph on the back of something, I align with you 101%. If you don't know the words and this exalapacapacine and you don't know what that is, you gotta chill on that, right? Seriously, you gotta chill on that. You gotta realize that is not healthy, that is dangerous, that can really hurt you and harm you. So thank you so much for that information and all the information about everything that you've gone through, your journey. How do people reach you? How do people contact you? One more time, for the chat. We'll make sure we put everything in the description. But how do people connect with you, Jeff?
No, thank you for that, man. I appreciate you, Clif and Ron. They can connect with me at jeffcade360.com. JEFFCADE360.com. Again, www.jeffcade360.com. And see what that is. That's a platform that allows people to connect with me socially. And if they don't want to connect with me via social media like LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, they could leave me a personal DM. They could send me an email. They could send me a text message. They just have to download the contact information and we can communicate there. The key, though, is to make sure when you can communicate with me that if you're really interested in improving your health and living a healthier lifestyle, you definitely want to connect with me because I can get you something. I call it a freebie. Give you a freebie, which is really a great 15-20 minute discovery call, a strategic call that allows us to talk about your health goals, on how I can empower you to make sure you stand up, you live up to those terms, because it's about the person in the mirror that has to make the change, because your health is your wealth. So please connect with me, jeffcade360.com, and we'll have a great enlightening conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah. And your website, I went through it. Very easy to maneuver. I love all the tabs and the pop-ups, and very easy to click on, very easy to read. Very, very user-friendly. I really enjoyed going through it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that.
That is fantastic. So you know how we do. I toss it over to you, Ron, to bless us with a closeout. Hold it down, brother.
All right. I want you to stay awesome. Keep stepping your greatness and be legendary. Let's go. Have a most legendary day. Take care. Peace and love.